Hey guys, welcome back to Planet Tyro. It is your boy Donald Wonder, and I want to say happy October. Welcome to October, guys. I'm going to do my usual thing on Planet Tyro by doing reviews for all types of media, but this month I want to do something extra because October is a month for many beautiful, nice things like Black History Month, Halloween at the end of the month. It's my birthday. Probably the most important one of all is my birthday. But actually, there's one event happening this month that for years it's just shocked me how unknown and how I've got so many friends online that talk about animation, that talk about anime, do anime reviews, that write animated stories and stuff. And you know what? They have no idea that this month is International Animation Day. Now, we did a podcast talking about International Animation Day a couple of years ago, me and Kimono Joe, and it was very critical because there's an association that made International Animation Day back in 2002. That's when it was announced. And they don't have the biggest online presence. They hold some festivals in certain countries, but there should be a bigger voice for animation because right now, the Americans and the Japanese are like the biggest producers of anime. They do the most commercial anime stuff, but there are other countries that do animated series, animated shorts, animated movies. They don't get a lot of awareness and they're very creative. And you know, I love good storytelling. And I think animation is the perfect medium to express animation using it's just so creative. You can create any kind of story using animation, and there's just not a lot of voices that use animation. Like, you know, in the Western world, animation is mostly for cartoons. Japanese, they're known for doing crazy hentai things. But there's other countries that have different perspectives. So basically, I want to promote international animation, not just anime, not just American cartoons, different types of animation. So this month on the channel, I'm going to try to find different types of animated shorts, movies, and I'm going to try to review them. They're very hard to come by because animation is very hard to produce. But before all of that, I'm going to re-bring that podcast we did speaking about International Animation Day because there's some information that some people that I spoke to didn't really know. And the podcast me and Joe did was kind of critical. We kind of bashed on the Association for Animation and Disney and stuff just for the way animation is pigeonholed. So I'm going to put a disclaimer before because the podcast is a couple years old, so it's a little bit outdated as well. But most of what we said can be enlightening. It was a good conversation and I think you guys will get something out of it. But as I said, this month we're going to do a lot to try to promote international animation, and we're going to get a hashtag started as well because it's YouTube and YouTube do themes, hashtags and stuff. So you're going to see some things. I'm actually going to make a separate video to kind of promote International Animation Day as well because this should be a much bigger deal than it is. It really should be, guys. For you anime loving guys, you animation loving guys, help me. Let's just promote animation. We love animation. So before we get into that for the rest of the month, check out this podcast, but check out this disclaimer first because I think we just have to see this before we piss off a lot of people.
Disclaimer. The following podcast was recorded way back in 2013, and as such, a few aspects of the conversation may be a little outdated. Although, for the most part, most of it still coincides with our opinions on worldwide animation awareness today. It should go without saying that we, by no means, hate or even dislike the organization/institutions discussed ahead. But we do have some very critical points of view on certain practices that may upset or even offend some. This is not really our intention. Please, remember people, it is just our own opinions. We are not an authority, or even experts by any means, so everything said ahead should be taken with a grain of salt. Or maybe even a bucket load. Regardless. Thanks for watching and listening. Sensible comments are always welcomed. And now, onto the podcast.
We got an email from Princess Asuna. She asked, I've been watching animation and anime for a very long time. I'm a big fan of both. I'm not biased towards one or the other. I enjoy both mediums for what they are. Why isn't there a consortium of people that just judge all animation on its own without any bias, without any allegiance to any country, not just being Japanese or American? And do you guys know when International Animation Day is by any chance?
Yeah, I didn't even know there was a day for it until I looked it up.
Neither did I. Like when I got this question, I was thinking the same thing. How come there isn't a group of people that just, we're always, all of us promote animation, but there should be a group of grown ass men, like an association that just go to different countries and promote animation and just have an award, like an Oscar for animation for all the world. After doing some research, apparently there is an organization that is meant to do exactly that.
Yeah, and the surprising fact was also that they've been doing it for nearly 38 years now.
Yeah, and just so you know, people, that organization is called the IAFA, which is the International Animation Film Association. They've also go by the ISIFA as well, which I can't even get the acronym for that right now. But anyway, before I move on, I just want to know this information I got from Wikipedia and some other Google searches. I'll put the links in the description. I am not making this up. This is just from basic research. Like you, I've never heard of International Animation Day,
Mm-hmm.
and I was confused. Why is there no world award for animation? In Japan and America, there's so much segregation in animation. I said this in the Avatar review. And why isn't there just one group of people that just praise animation on a whole? This group seems to do it, but upon research, I have to say this organization is seriously lacking in how they. Let me just read some bits of Wikipedia for you. The International Animation Film Association is originally located in Annecy, France, but they've broken around the world into 30 different chapters. So it's an organization of different chapters. That makes sense. You can't have everything in one place. So
Yeah.
the IAFA's board of directors comprise of animation professionals from all over the world, and they meet at the ISIFA-sponsored animation film festivals on a regular basis. Some of the most well-known festivals include the Annecy International Animated Film Festival in France, the Ottawa International Animation Film Festival in Canada, the Hiroshima International Animation Festival in Japan, and the Zagreb World Festival Animated Films in Croatia. Croatia, I might be going there soon. The annual Annie Awards are presented in Hollywood and are the American branch of the AIFA. Or the AFIA, sorry. So, the Annie Awards, we've had this question a long time. The Annie Awards are the animation awards. But what people don't realize is the Annie Awards are an American award, first and foremost. They don't represent the world.
Yeah.
Because some people said, no, I got an email saying, no, the Annie Awards, they do award the animation that deserve it. No, the Annie Awards are an American award. They're a domestic award.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even looking over the nominees from last year, I think out of, theatrical films, the only one that wasn't American was The Rabbi's Cat. And that was the only thing out of, 8 films.
Well, here's a brief summary of the Annie Awards. The Annie Awards is an American award for accomplishments in animation in America. The Annies have been presented in Los Angeles for the Los Angeles branch of the IAFA, as I already said, since 1972. Originally designed to celebrate lifetime of career contributions in animation in the field of producing, directing, animating, design, and writing, voice acting, and sound effects, etc. In 1992, it began to honor animation as a whole, even for other countries, and created a category of Best Animated Feature. Again, it's basically like the Oscars. This is what people need to get in their head. The Oscars is an American award.
Oh, yeah.
They have a foreign language section, but they are an American award. A lot of people are like, how come that movie never got in the Oscars? How come that cartoon never got... Yeah, when you look last year, Brave won
the best animated film for Oscars. People were furious because they said that was one of the worst movies of that. I think there was even a better movie in there. There was another movie that should have. Anyway, it's an American award. People,
Yeah.
It's kind of sad that once again America have took it upon themselves to have these awards, when in honesty there should actually be a central location, maybe in Europe or something, that hold the awards for every country, that don't just look at America's efforts, they look at every other country's. But at the end of the day, that's the American branch. They can do what they want.
Oh yeah, particularly because much like the Oscars, well, I know with the Oscars themselves, particularly anything that wins, it's because they have a minor agenda they want to achieve, or like a pedigree that they want to show that they have. So when you compare the other films compared to Brave, a lot of them, which the previous films were Frankenweenie, Hotel Transylvania, Paranorman, Rise of the Guardians, Pirates, Bands of Misfits, which that as well I forgot to count. That was an English film, so that wasn't done in America. But then The Rabbi's Cat and Wreck-It Ralph. So among these, you have 3 that are kind of like Halloweenish, like silly films. You have one that, as the Spill guys called it, The Avengers with holiday people. Yeah, you have a comedy about pirates and a cat that talks that's trying to become Jewish, and then Wreck-It Ralph, which was a video game. But Brave, out of all of those, had just that kind of pedigree that it was advancements, because like I mentioned before, it portrayed a strong female character. Because most of these films, you can kind of argue, are more geared towards a slightly more male audience to a degree, because male main characters, or like just their type of humor as well. Whereas Brave seemed like it was more aimed at the female demographic, and for that kind of reason, the Oscars would probably want to put it much higher up on a pedestal for it.
You know, I think you're being very logical and fair, but I would also say that I think there's a bias towards Disney movies in general.
Well, that too. That's the other key factor, that Disney normally wins out on those things. And even with like the Annie Awards, because looking over what they said, like the best animated feature, they said it was Wreck-It Ralph. But again, that's a Disney film, and it just seems odd that when you look at their sponsors, Disney is like on 5 different levels of it.
You know, it's at the end of the day, I can't blame them. It's their own thing. It's America's taking it upon themselves to host the award, but it's meant to be just a chapter of a bigger animation organization. So I'm actually kind of pissed off with this organization for letting this go on, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of other artists. We're going to talk about shows that people put blood, sweat, and tears into animation in other countries, not just America. So you've got this organization of people that should be promoting it, but really they're not. They're just segregated across the globe, and then, you know, America make a lot of money of promoting. Well, what this comes down to, also, I'm not silly, is the English language. English is the #1 language, you know, on planet Earth. So anything that, if the Americans decide they're gonna take something, like the Studio Ghibli have got a contract with Disney, as everyone knows, and their movies automatically get released into get translated into English, and they get theatrical releases as well. So Ghibli get money, but this is because Americans have decided to license them. Let's be honest, if America didn't license Studio Ghibli, people wouldn't know about Studio Ghibli. They wouldn't have the wide range of appeal they have. This is due to Americans. This is why people need to get in their head that, you know, I've always said this, for anime to survive, you need more dubs. This is the main reason, because English is the #1 language in the world. It's easy accessible, and it gets the most awareness out of people. You know, people don't want to read subs. Let's be honest. People don't like subs. People don't like. It takes a little bit more effort, and that could just turn people off.
Oh yeah, and although like I know a lot of people are probably going to be arguing against the idea of dubs, because as we all know, typically whenever anything's being dubbed from Japan over to America, they don't put nearly as much effort getting voice actors or deciding to pronounce the scripts correctly, or even sometimes editing it if it's going to be released on television.
Well, Joe, I have to say, that's how you get your foot in the door.
Yep.
Even a bad dub is better. Things that have terrible dubs have got awareness.
Oh yeah.
Stuff like Ghazi's Wing and One Piece, they're known for being bad, but people will give them a chance because about, you know what, maybe I should check out. That's how you get your foot in the door. Me being British, I can tell you that at Manga Entertainment, we actually, England, we had our own dubbing company, part of Manga Entertainment, and in the early 90s, we did a lot of our own dubbing. In Japan, what they really should do in Japan, they should hire a lot of English speaking people, and they should have their own. And actually, there was a company called Animax that actually did their own local dubs.
Huh.
If they did their own local dubs, that they had a British team of people or American, whatever, just English speaking people, that they did their translations locally in Japan, they would get so much more awareness. And they've already done this with, like I said, the production company Animax. They did their own dubs before licensing it to the US, so they can do it through Funimation or whoever, and that got them a lot of money because they were just getting their foot in the door. The way things are now, and this is to summarize, everyone relies on America. Yeah, there are so many shows, like the show me and Joe are going to talk about, that no one's even heard about because America haven't paid attention.
Oh yeah.
Because, you know, we'll just say America, but even if it was Britain as well, but let's be honest, it always comes down to America. If America doesn't pay attention, there's not going to be any awareness for it. And it's all backdoor dealings, and I don't know how you get the attention. All right, first of all, maybe quality. Maybe if you have something really good, you will get noticed. But let's be honest with you, I think there's so many good stuff out there that don't get noticed. I don't really think that's even a good argument for me to even have.
I think the better answer is it marketable and will it make them money? Like, I remember for a long time after things like Pokemon and Digimon came out, there was a slew of shows that were all like had their own card games or toy gimmicks or like something to it, you know, like Beyblades, for instance. And then on top of that, it's just like, is the series going to be popular and get a lot of money? Like, Toonami announced they're going to be showing Sword Art Online, which that just made me die a little on the inside when I heard that bit of news. But that, however, because it has such a huge fan base, that's at least going to mean that they will make some money off of it.
You see, exactly. You made the perfect point. That's the absolute perfect point, and that's the problem. That is the absolute problem with anime, and just the people in charge. The decisions they make are ridiculous. Are just based on money. They're not based on quality anymore. That's why, you know, I just said that. You're saying that, oh, if it's quality, it's going to succeed. No, that's not the case, mate.
Yep.
How many people? Sword Art Online is the most notorious anime out at this point in time for being loved and hated, and they thought, boy, that's gonna sell no matter what, and it is. I totally agree, and I don't like that show either.
Yeah.
But it's gonna sell bucket loads of money.
Yep.
And I have to give props to these guys that did Avatar, because when you look at Avatar, and I already did a review, I'm not gonna go into too much detail. When you look at Avatar on paper, it's more. It's not a traditional American story. It's more like an anime, obviously.
Yeah.
And they took a chance, but the story, they took a chance. It's always people taking chances on good quality stories that are going to win in the end. Oh, that was so fresh. I've never seen anything like it. Oh my God, that animation. But obviously, anime have tons of shows just like that. So again, this whole thing is really upsetting. You know, at the end of the day, I can't blame America for just taking care of their own.
Yeah.
But people got to realize that you need to look outside your box, because to me, Disney are formulaic.
Oh, yeah.
Very formulaic. They just do family-friendly things. The biggest franchise they milked is the wrong term, but I'll just use that. Is Toy Story. Yeah. It was a great series that they got to 3. I didn't even think they could even get Toy Story to 3. They're gonna make 4.
Oh yeah.
And now look what they're doing. They're doing planes, cars, robots, everything they're trying to cutify. You know, this latest Monsters University, I was just rolling my eyes. You know, I'm not interested in that at all, to be honest with you. But But so ultimately, I am very disappointed with this organization, the IAFA. They're not really doing anything as far as I'm concerned. America dominates the animation. They're the mothers of animation anyway. They gave birth to animation. Other countries learn from them, but no one really. I don't know. No one. It's a really debauched industry. That's not even the right term, but that's all I can really say about this. So have you got anything else to say, Joe?
Um, well, I will say it's not just America that's to blame for a lot of it as well, because, I mean, it's just like with Japan as well. If it's going to make money, they will focus their time and efforts on making it. I mean, whenever one thing becomes popular, you'll see the copycat series that come out of it that try to do the exact same thing. Like how there's so many TV shows out that are just like a very banal, like, hey, it's a bunch of cute girls doing cute, crazy things, which some of them work and some of them don't work at all. I mean, we had Lucky Star and Azumanga Daioh that were the two that I saw and really enjoyed. But then after that, there was stuff that tried to follow the same formula that just didn't work out. But they still make tons of money because it appeals to that demographic for it.
Was that K-On, for example, I think?
Yeah, that one I haven't watched, so I can't say anything about it. But I had heard a lot about a series called A Channel, which was supposedly really, really bad as well. Yeah.
I don't want to just blame America. I feel like I just said, I think the Japanese could be doing things differently. Like I said, if they had their own English dub team, they could actually get a lot more awareness from Western audiences. But Studio Ghibli got a contract with Disney anyway, so they're still getting money from in that aspect. But in general, Joe, that we're going to do in a moment anyway. It's just up to us as content providers to bring awareness to these other shows that probably aren't going to see the light of day in English.
Oh yeah. Oh, but one other thing I did want to bring up though about like whole getting recognized and all that. The other big problem that shows from areas like Japan face is how they cost a lot of money to be brought over and licensed in America. So it's not just a matter that some of them aren't being picked up because they don't fit the mold, but some of them, it's just that whole thing is it a financial risk to do so.
That's another reason why they should do it locally. And by the way, I already know what someone's going to say. If they can't make good dubs in America, why would you think they'll make good dubs in Japan?
Funny enough story though, I did talk to a friend of mine who he used to visit Japan pretty often because he's a game developer. But he told me like it's not just America that makes really bad dubs of foreign country cartoons. It's the other way around in other countries as well. Like he told me he watched the Japanese dialogue for I think it was Lilo and Stitch. Now, I don't know if it was the movie or the animated series that came after it, but he was telling me that it was a pretty terrible Japanese dub that they put in for it.
You just brought up another point. Isn't it ironic that when Disney released a movie, they've got it in like 10 different languages?
Oh, yeah.
But I actually heard Lilo and Stitch was like a big thing in Japan, was like amazingly huge.
Oh yeah, that was one thing. Like I forgot to bring it up on the episode before when I talked about my trip to Japan, but I was kind of baffled by a lot of Lilo and Stitch things going on. And I think mainly it's because Stitch, he kind of fits into that model of like a Pokemon in a way.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just a cute little monster that does cute little crazy things and he transforms.
And that girl doesn't even look American, or she's Hawaiian in the movie, but she looks like got a big nose, and the actual character designs, it actually translates really well into Asian society, not on the animation level, but it just seems to fit.
Oh yeah.
Like,
especially because I believe afterwards that Japan made their own kind of like spin-off series of Lilo and Stitch.
They did, yeah. I noticed that as well, yeah.
It was kind of like how they did the same thing with the Powerpuff Girls as well.
Oh, yeah. Someone posted that on our group page as well. I didn't even know until someone posted up there was a Japanese version of the Powerpuff Girls, but originally it looked like an anime with the big eyes and the girls fighting. I'm like, damn, Powerpuff Girls was very anime, so if anything was going to be absorbed. But funny enough, the Japanese version I saw was really cutesified. I was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, they kind of wanted to bring it into that more magical girl moe model that they normally love so much.
Yeah, exactly.
I do find it kind of funny that it's almost like that snake eating its tail kind of effect, because it's like Powerpuff Girls was heavily influenced by anime, and then here's anime, and they're really influenced by the Powerpuff Girls to make a new version of it. And then I'm sure somewhere along the line, someone's probably going to be trying to remake something out of that at some point.
Yeah, it's just weird. I don't know where things stand between Japan and America, but you know what the good news is, Joe?
Mm-hmm.
We're moving away from that now.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Stay tuned to Planet Tyro this month for more CIAD content. #Celebrate International Animation Day.